Hey there. I'm gonna do a gaming related video here. I've been meaning to do for a while. I'm gonna review all my light guns and show you some of the games that use each of these light guns. I'm a huge light gun shooter fan, always have been, so I kind of collect the light guns. So I'm gonna start with oldest to newest. Here's the first one. This is the Konami Justifier for Genesis and Sega CD. I mainly use it for Sega CD. Looks like a 357 Magnum. Nice clicky trigger here. It's pretty simple, just has a start button and a trigger. But here's the game I use it for. Snatcher. It doesn't have pinpoint aiming though. It's mostly like moving a cursor between 9 pre-selected grids on the screen to shoot the enemies, but it's still pretty fun to use for Snatcher. So, next one I have the Sega Saturn Stunner, or the Virtua Gun in Japan. I have this, the US version, which came in this box. And here's the smaller case for Virtual Cop. And then I also have the Japanese version of the gun. It's all black with a yellow trigger, yellow start button, no safety colors at all, so I'm not going to be wielding this in public or anything. I really like how this one looks because on this box the characters use a black version of that gun, so puts you a little bit more into the game. I use the Virtua Guns for these two games also. House of the Dead is one of my favorites. I love the first one more than the second and the third. This is just a classic. The Virtua Gun is pretty accurate, I would say. It's more accurate than the Justifier for Sega CD or the PS1 Justifier. And it just looks awesome. It's like a futuristic hand cannon, so this is one of my favorite light guns. Alright, next we'll show off the Konami Justifier for PlayStation 1. This is kind of weird looking. It's very long. The trigger is very easy. It's got two buttons, start and I guess an alt button. This one was really tough to calibrate on my CRT TV, but once I got it calibrated it was fairly accurate, but it does get the aim thrown off a bit from time to time. I don't know if that's just because my CRT has overscan. That's where some of the screen gets cut off on the sides. That might be causing the problems. But for this gun, I actually have 3 of them because I found a deal where I got 2 of them for $40 when I actually only needed 1. So I just went for that. I got both the boxes here. So maybe I'll just sell one of the other ones without the box. And I used this for a couple of games here. Got Area 51. Pretty cheesy. This is not one of my favorite shooters. I just feel it's really generic and there's not much good gameplay to it. Um, this one I actually got with the Justifier and Project Horned Owl. This is actually really good. I was surprised. It's got a good story with like anime cutscenes. You pretty much have unlimited ammo, but you use a system where you can charge up the gun and release it for like a spread shot, and that's kind of cool. The main reason I got the Konami Justifier for PS1 was this game, Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2. This is the only arcade perfect version of the game. Although it's not completely arcade perfect, there's still some missing sound effects and elements. But this is as close as you're going to get to arcade perfect. So, yeah, and then I decided to get this one. This isn't really my favorite either, but it's good enough and it's a good reason to use the Justifier. So, yeah, I would say it's worth it. Just not my favorite. And then next, we have the Gun Con for PS1. I don't want to unwrap all this, but this one's pretty cool looking too, much like the Virtual Gun or Sega Stunner. This one uses a video cord to take a picture of the screen every time you fire, so it's more accurate, and it definitely shows. This is more accurate than the Saturn gun, I would say. The only thing I didn't like about this one is the button you use to duck in games like Time Crisis is up here. So you can't really shoot one-handed. You have to constantly hold it like this to duck, and I find that annoying. I want to just aim with one hand. But yeah, speaking of Time Crisis, here's the two Time Crisis games for PS1. Time Crisis and Time Crisis Project Titan. This one's obviously my favorite because it's the classic version. This was made exclusively for PS1. This wasn't in the arcades. This one's good. It has improved graphics over the first, but it just doesn't feel as original to me. It kind of feels like an expansion more than a new game, which explains the subtitle rather than being Time Crisis 2. So, I think there's a few more games that use the Gun Con 1. I think possibly Die Hard Trilogy might use the Gun Con, but that might actually use the Justifier too. So